Good evening, everyone. How are you? This is Enrique Sanchez of Spanish United. Today we have a very special guest. Would you be kind enough to introduce yourself to the audience, please? Hello.
Hi, hi. My name is Sujauddin. Thank you very much, Enrique, for inviting me to speak in your show.
It's my pleasure. So, would you tell us what your occupation is and what you do?
Okay. Let me just give you a little bit of my who I am, the background.
Sure.
Uh, I am actually Rohingya from Myanmar. A lot of your listeners might know that we are facing genocide in Myanmar. Then there was a case against the Burmese government in ICJ at the moment for the genocide case. I left Myanmar as a refugee in 1999 at the age of 17, and I lived in Malaysia for a while. Then I got resettled in Australia as a refugee. Then I went back to Malaysia to support refugee community in Malaysia. Currently, I'm running a school for refugee children in Malaysia, and that's my full-time job basically.
Mhm. Nice, nice. Yeah, I came across you when I was at the Taiwan Center last week when I was in the panel discussing Spanish United, what we do, and a little bit about what we do as a Spanish United. We are a Hispanic civil rights organization. We are in in the process of putting a community center primarily to help out with homelessness, destitute people that are Hispanic, and advocating for protections for the Hispanic people. As with Malaysia, many Hispanics are seen as refugees, and even the ones that are American born, a lot of them are not seen as American citizens. In many cases, they're still seen as foreigners. So what we do is that we tackle and expose the discrimination and do what we can to advocate for the civil and human rights of the Hispanic people in the United States. It doesn't matter what country they belong to, because as you know, Hispanic is not a race, it's an ethnicity. And we are composed of 20, 21 countries, including Puerto Rico, where my mom and my family is from, and we all speak Spanish, regardless of what country we're from. We're all the same people, we're the same ethnicity, and the whole point is to create a Hispanic consensus where there is unity among Hispanic people. So that's primarily what we do. And so, how long have you been doing what you're doing for the Rohingya people in Malaysia?
Yeah. Well, thank you. It was very eye-opening actually, the Taiwan, the community center when I met you last Sunday, actually it was.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize, there was, I thought the Spanish is the second, I think, largest minority in the country.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and was not really given all the right, I mean, enjoying the rights in America.
Mm,
I was ignorant of that. I knew there was some discrimination. I knew there was some, prejudice against the Hispanic community in America,
mm,
but I didn't know it was in that level of marginalization was happening here.
mm.
And for that, thank you very much for educating me. And really, I was ignorant about that. I was ashamed of it really when I thought I should have known.
Oh no, and like I
Yeah.
said, the whole point of doing the seminar is, like you said, is to educate people. Like when I
Yeah.
was speaking, I gave that presentation on the Monroe Doctrine, because the Monroe
Mhm.
Doctrine was a foreign policy that the United States government had in place since the 1800s, which was started by the fifth president, James Monroe, who was the last of the founding fathers of the United States. And
Yeah.
and in that document, it gave the United States pretty much the authority to not only keep European powers out of the Americas, which is the Western Hemisphere, but at the same time they treat Latin America as their backyard. So they never saw Latin American countries, Spanish-speaking countries, as equals. And
Yeah.
every time they had an opportunity to send military intervention or assassinate politicians that went against the wishes of Washington, that's what they did. And part of the reason why we have the migrant crisis that we have in the United States, illegal
Mm,
immigration, has to do because of the Monroe Doctrine. A lot of
yeah.
people don't know about that. So that was
Yeah.
one of the main reasons why I did that presentation, to educate the people about why Hispanics are here in the United States. A lot of them are here not because they wanted to be, because they were forced to be here, because the conditions were just so bad that they had no choice but to flee their homeland.
Yeah, exactly. This is what it is, right? And part of the reason what I was very ashamed of, because we were so caught up in our own situation, we didn't really, bother to learn about other sufferings and other people's struggles, and that in we don't share each other's knowledge and resources and expertise in fighting discriminations or marginalizations. That's one thing I think I'm really grateful for an opportunity like this, so that we can share each other's struggles, and we can learn from each other's techniques or methods, and even share thoughts and expertise and and that's
Absolutely.
why I'm very grateful as well, for me to have this discussion with you. I go back to your questions and how long I have been, working with the refugee community in Malaysia.
Mm,
Actually, I started, it was, uh, in a way, it was by default. I should say, since 15 years old, I've been advocating for my own community, who Rohingya community. Uh, I don't know many of your listeners
mm,
heard of this community. This is the community that had been like made stateless. Basically, in short, I don't want to go into this long history,
mm,
but in short, the Rohingyas were from a land called Rohang, and later known as Arakan, and it was invaded by Burmese in 1784, and 40 years later, the British invaded Burma as a whole. So we became the first. We became the Burmese colony, and then we became the British colony. And then in 1947, we were given independence under the British. Sorry, under the Burmese regime.
mm,
But the Burmese always treated us as a colony, and never accepted us as a part of Burmese people.
mm,
And however, after the independence in 1947, we were treated as given our citizenship at least. But then later on in 1982, our citizenship was stripped away, effectively made us stateless in our own ancestral land.
mm,
And if you Google it today, you will find a lot of propagandas saying, "Oh, these people came from India or Bangladesh, modern day Bangladesh." Bangladesh wasn't existed at the time,
right.
and so we were treated as like illegal immigrants in our own ancestral land that's been there for, like, we were indigenous to that land basically. Uh, then so I started the fight, against this policy of the Burmese rule. In short, I was arrested, tortured, and uh, very fortunately, we were landowners. We had land. My family was had resources to bribe the authority and to find a way for me to escape from that land. It
Uh-huh.
was in 1998, and then I started my journey as a refugee to Thailand and then to Malaysia. And since 1998, I never stopped working to find justice and peace for my people, security, justice, security, and peace for my people in our own ancestral land. In that process, I also worked to develop my communities, what do you call it, to empower my community, basically. Educationally, because like even myself, I don't have any like formal education. So like I have learned everything what I've learned on the street. I went to school in Burma, but we were so discriminated, we were so badly treated in the school. It was very difficult to even attend classes all the time. And because of that, if today, if you make a survey, and we had like a very few, like informal surveys, about 85% of our population are illiterate. And in modern day, like 85% of a population who lived, who had a civilization of themselves, they have their own languages, culture, religion, and to be 85% illiterate is unbelievable for many people. They can't even comprehend this figure. And those who work with us, they of course they know. So my mission today is how I help my people to to have access to education and empower them so that they can claim one day their land back, and they at least find the way to have a dignified living.
Right.
In that process, I also realized that there are not only my people who are deprived of education in Malaysia. There are many other refugees, who don't have access to a school. So the center that we opened in 2018 welcome any refugee from any background to come, and we provide educational programs. The center, we named it ILOM, ELOM. ILOM actually mean, in my language, mean knowledge.
Okay.
Also mean education, and it's also driven from the E for empowerment, L for learning, and O for opportunities, and M for motivation.
Nice. I really think that you're doing an awesome job for your people. And I know that for many people that are listening, there's a lot of people around the world that are stateless. And what stateless means, for those that don't know, is someone that does not have any citizenship from any countries. So it's like people don't have the protections as of a citizen does, even if it's a basic protection. So it's like a lot of people get a lot of abuse. And in many cases, a lot of Hispanics that come to the United States, even though they have their citizenship for their home country, in many cases they're treated as stateless because they are economic migrants. It's like when most Hispanics that come to America, the majority of them, unfortunately, they come as economic migrants, because there is a difference between an economic migrant and a political refugee that is fleeing because of political reasons, religious reasons, etc. So when someone applies for asylum, it's a special process that they go through to get in front of the line, as they say. But for many people, they're not able to prove it. They are put on the back of the list, which are economic migrants. And that's part of the reason why a lot of people sneak across the border, because a lot of people, in many cases, that are fleeing because of persecution are not able to prove it. And that's the reason why many of them have to do what they have to do to cross the border. And then that causes a lot of animosity, because a lot of people believe that a lot of Hispanics that are coming to the United States are just coming here to cause problems, and that has created to a lot of Hispanophobia with a lot of people, especially like with a lot of Hispanics that are homeless. Like one of the things that we do with my foundation, Spanish United, is that we bring food, we bring water, we bring supplies to Hispanics. Like particularly me and my mother in particular, we go out into areas where there's Hispanic people that many of them for many reasons, don't have access to many services because they don't have a car, they don't have access to public transportation, or they don't speak English. So many of them, we go to them, we talk to them, we take an intake, and then we try to orientate them to the best to the best of our ability, because there's a lot of Hispanic people, even those that are American born, that are really struggling. And the case of many people like from your community have also been heavily discriminated. Like, even though Hispanics that are American born are US citizens, many of them rank last when it comes to high school graduation, when it comes to college admission, when it comes to mass incarceration. So that is
Yeah,
something that we're trying to do to change that, to better the image of the Hispanic people. But a lot of it has to do is that there needs to be investment and resources. So that's why it's very important that resources needs to be invested in the community in order for it to prosper.
absolutely. I mean, it is very important what you're doing, and because a lot of the time, what we realize is, you know, the people in this situation, they just need a bit of a hand, and they just, pick up from there. Just need the initial push when they are really struggling. And you said it right, about stateless situation of stateless. The statelessness is really a serious problem. A lot of people don't even realize it. Even a lot of states and countries, they don't actually want to recognize this issue. Is that if you don't have a state, I mean, you have no protection at all.
Hmm.
And in my life, I was actually sold to slavery twice. And, to human traffickers, and even sometimes the police of a country, I don't want to name it here,
Hmm.
uh, actually these human traffickers, government officers are involved in this thing.
Hmm.
Without their endorsement, they cannot operate in a sovereign country,
Hmm.
right? Um, and when I was stole, uh, this is what I had to make, like a decision in a split moment. Like, I don't whether I would accept slavery, or risk dying to escape from slavery, right? And this is the dilemma, and many people face. Like, every other refugee or stateless, they have everybody have similar stories they can tell you.
Hmm.
uh, I was fortunate, I must say, and I'm really grateful to God, and I believe in God dearly, and that he inspired me to have escaped, risking the death. In my head, I was thinking I would rather die than accepting slavery.
Hmm.
And I escaped, and I, like, when I was escaping, I wasn't running. There was these guys who were running behind me, but it was at night. They didn't see me where I was, but they just, like firing, like shooting
Hmm.
uh, randomly. And God has to save me for whatever reason. I think that was, the bullet hit a tree in front of me, but not me.
Oh, wow.
You know, uh, so it is very important for us to know this, for us to raise awareness, for us to challenge authorities, that wherever relevant authorities, that they have means and resources, and it's actually better for the country. For example, for the Hispanic communities here, it would be better for the economy of the America to empower them, to educate them, to give them, to allow them to access to schools, and to give them citizenship or legal document, whatever it is needed, to access to services. Then they will in turn give better, services to the community.
Hmm.
Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, and and to able to talk about it is very important as well, and allow often, the people, like the oppressed people, like my people, right, Rohingya people or Spanish people in America or other minorities, often they are, they suffered a lot of, uh, bad thing. They have traumas and psychological problems and all that. They're
Hmm.
battling with so many issues that often we can't imagine. And sometimes we don't realize how we take everything granted for. I'll give you one example. In Australia, I was working as a refugee settlement services.
Hmm.
When refugees come, we receive them and we help them
Hmm.
to settle in a new country. Like we, try to make sense of this
Hmm.
new life in a new country. And one night, about 11 p.m., one of my client called me and he says, "You know what, brother Sujauddin? I took a bus from downtown to my home without assistance." Now, people might think, wow, what is so significant about this, right?
Hmm.
This this man was born in a refugee camp. The camp was the prison-like condition they have never seen occur in their entire life.
Oh,
Right?
wow.
They have never. He doesn't. He do. When I first met him, he couldn't write his own name. When we registered a bank account for him call it in the form,
Hmm.
in terms of signing his name, he has to make a cross,
Hmm.
on the signature panel.
Hmm.
So for him, it was a huge achievement that maybe you and I have taken granted for having access to or knowing something and taking up how to take a bus from one point to point A to point B. It took him almost 3 months to learn that, and he was so proud of himself that he took a bus.
Hmm. Hello. Hello.
So bad that sometimes whatever we think it is normal, it's not normal for them.
Well, of course.
And that's why we need to have that compassion to listen and understand their situation, and then work and try to support and help to to make them better or understand the lifestyle of wherever they are and whichever situation they are in, so that they become the productive members of the society wherever they are in. And this is our motto as well in our organization. One of the mission the mission statement is to support refugees to become the productive members of this community, productive members of the society, so that they can reach their full potential. That was one of our mission statement.
Nice. One of the mission statements that we have in Spanish Unite is that we emphasize culture over color. And again, getting back that Hispanic is not a race, it's an ethnicity. Hispanic can be of any race. We could be Hispanic white, Hispanic black, Hispanic native, Hispanic Asian. But what brings us together as a common denominator is that we speak the Spanish language. We were born in Spanish countries, and we come from a background where Spain was the country that colonized and settled, and I feel that is very important because there's a lot of disunity among Hispanics in the United States, that even though they share the same language, they kind of separate based on tribe, based on where they come from, or depending on what they look like. And one of the things that we do is that we want to get all Hispanics together to work together for a common cause, and at the same time that all Hispanics are equal. It doesn't matter where we come from or what we look like, but what unites us is language and culture. And that's one of the reasons why I chose the term culture over color, because Spanish unites all Hispanic people, regardless of what we look like, what our race is, what our religion is, and united because we are all the same people. It doesn't matter if we are different countries, but we are all the same people. Every Hispanic person in Latin America and even Spain, we all come from the same people. So I feel that's how I have my mission statement, that we are a united Hispanic nation and we are Spanish united.
Well, that's great. That's really great. I mean, that is how it's supposed to be, right? I mean, it's good to have identities, but it's not to discriminate or to distinguish. It's just to, I mean, you and I are both human beings, but we have different name, different cultures, but we still have same inspirations. We still have same dreams. We still have same needs for our, for the in our life, and all of us has same we call it status, if you like.
Mhm.
Unless we put the artificial status in what we call a status at the moment. And thank you, for explaining this. And I'm somehow aware that the diversity of the Hispanic people in America, but what I also know is the talent they carry. They're very, very talented people. They're hardworking people, and like yourself. And I was very pleased to meet you and have a short conversation with you on last Sunday. That people like you. There will be many other people, hopefully, that will join you in Spanish United uh, to achieve what you set out to achieve.
Thank you. And like I said, we are reaching those goals little by little. And again, it all has to do with hard work, education, at the same time, working with different communities. Like I feel that working with the Taiwan Center and meeting different representatives from other communities like the Rohingya, the Uyghur, the Hong Kong, Taiwan, the Burmese, and Thailand, because even though Hispanics are culturally different from Asians in many ways, we do share the same values, that we believe in family, we believe in these universal values that many people have, and that even though we may have our differences, but we are all in the same team. We're all human beings, working together for the unity of the human family. And I think it's a good way for the Hispanic community also to be engaged, because unfortunately Hispanics tend to be insular. And one of the things that I motivate the Hispanic community is to go out, be proactive, do community work, and at the same time, work with other people, reach out to people that aren't like you, so that way you could get to know them. Because I feel that when you get to know others that are different from you, your perspective changes and becomes broader.
Yeah, and you can correct me in this. This is my thought actually. Often those oppressed communities uh, find difficult to work together because they have trauma to believe each other. Although they have a lot of compassion and love for each other, because the oppressors use a portion of or a section of oppressed people to oppress the others,
Mhm.
and it creates mistrust in the community. And that is one reason why we often find a lot of disunity in oppressed communities.
Mhm.
And the other thing also is we don't sometimes we feel frustrated or sometimes demotivated, but we have to motivate ourselves again and again, uh, because the community members, they are they're in a survival mode. They are in struggle. They are
Mhm.
literally struggling to live, right? Literally struggling to have a bed for tomorrow. in a lot of cases,
Mhm.
struggling to have meal for dinner tomorrow, and to put some bread and butter on the table. In this situation, it's difficult for many to see, like, how can we work together to eliminate these troubles or these problems, right?
Mhm.
And that is why also I feel it's very important for us to have more conversation, to interact uh, with people, the oppressed people, and encourage, to show them a way, to give them hope, basically. I apologize to you and to your listeners. English is not my native language, so I struggle in finding words sometimes in
Oh, it's fine, and
to express.
you're getting actually straight to the point. And again, I really appreciate you extending your solidarity with the Hispanic community, because we don't have too many allies in the United States. So it really means a lot. And before we go, because we only have like 5 minutes left here on the timer, you were mentioning something that you wanted to talk about, a crowdfunding.
Yes, actually, we are just starting to. Today, we launched a crowdfunding campaign to raise some fund to pay for the teachers in our center in the school, and also to pay some bills for the center as well. And there will be a lot of information already in the campaign page.
Hmm.
The campaign will be online in a few hours, and I hope people will click the links that hopefully you will put on this
Hmm.
podcast description.
Hmm.
And we, I would be will be very grateful, if you could share it in your contacts as well to other groups that may be able to support a few, whatever, a dollar,
Hmm.
$2. It's not important how much you contribute, but what important is the solidarity that you show. It would be very important for us. And I request everyone to who's listening to this podcast, and also please share it with your friends and in your community, with your families, uh, as much as you can. At least, even if they can't afford to contribute any financially, but at least they will have some information about this community
Of
and
course, of course.
what we are doing. If you can contribute, please do contribute. It will change so many children's life for better,
Yeah,
hopefully.
sure, absolutely. And the same thing with Spanish United for the Rohingya community that, would like to donate and also support Spanish United.
Yes.
We are on social media. We are on Spanish United, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. I also have a PayPal and Cash App that anyone can donate. We are tax deductible, and anything that people donate goes directly to help someone in the community, regardless of who they are. And yeah, we could definitely mutually help each other, because I feel that when people work together for a common cause, both communities benefit.
Absolutely. And likewise, I would also share this podcast to my networks. And I also run you know, a YouTube channel that has almost about 70,000 uh, subscribers
Mhm.
of the Rohingya community, Rohingya people. And I will definitely share this information with them as well. And hopefully one day I will interview you, and we can share your story, with us in that channel.
Absolutely. So I wanted to tell you, thank you so much for being on the show, Sujauddin. I truly appreciate it. So as soon as I finish with the interview, I will send the link, and you can share it to wherever media platform you want to. And please send me the text me the link, so that way I could put it in the YouTube video channel.
Sure. I will put that. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me in your show and all your kindness. And it was great meeting you.
It's
and
my
speaking to
pleasure.
you.
Have yourself a wonderful evening.
Thank you. You too.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.